a seller wants a buyer, and a buyer wants a house. They don't want an agent. Yeah, it can't be the way that you, the real estate agent, would talk about deal of the week. Like, this is today's deal of the week. No. Like, it's got to be you giving somebody that inside scoop, and keep your sales agent voice at home for those.
Welcome back to another episode of the REVB Podcast. Tim, Macy, Katie Day. Your soundboard is not working, Tim. He's over here furiously pressing, I think, the do-do-do-do.
Always, but why? Oh, I got the volume turned down on it. Where's the people deserve it?
We're 16 seconds in. 18, 19, 20.
There it is.
There
Sorry.
Okay, now it's just like all of the hits that you made are all like pent up and just. Anyways,
picture Rick Gonzalez in the car right now, who just got hit with the air horn and woken up because he didn't have his coffee. That's what I
love that. I'm like, yeah, cool. Anyway, so we are here
in the car. If you're listening, just know that I am here for you and thinking about you while we make this podcast. And Katie and I are excited to share some tactics today that we hope that you will put into place immediately, because the people that we're talking to that are putting these into place are getting engagement. So Katie, let's dive in to those things.
Well, let's set the stage. Let's set the stage. So
that was me. That was me setting the table. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take the table and put it on the stage real quick. So we talk to a lot of agents that do a lot of content. And I think one of the biggest complaints that people have is, hey, I do all this content. I get a bunch of views. I get a comment here or there, or I get a lot of comments. And then like, how do I get business out of this? That's always how do I get business out of this? And what we want to talk about today are ways that we can identify hand raisers or have people raise their hand to create better conversations, which then create conversion. Does that make sense? Table on stage. Does that work, Tim?
Yeah, I like it. And I think that what we've seen is we've got a lot of agents that are doing well growing the audience with their content and in the feed, like doing the reels that get the views, posting the stuff that's getting but they're telling us over and over again, the content in the feed is getting the reach, but the conversion is happening in the DMs, and the DMs are getting are happening from stories. And so we want to dive into stories that are converting, because we do spend a lot of time talking about the content, but it's the stories where the conversion are happening. Instagram stories, Facebook stories. And so, yeah, we're going to dive into some fun ones.
The first one that I want to talk about is a story that Chris Benjamin has been doing for quite a while. And it's basically a screenshot of a map where you zoom out and you make a circle around where you are going on your listing appointment. And you green screen it and you say, hey, I'm going on a listing appointment in this neighborhood later today. It's going to be a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, probably listed around $500,000. Obviously not in California. He's like $1.5 million. If you want more details on this before it hits the market, let me know. And so I like this for 2 reasons. One, obviously, if Tim says he wants more info on this house, then I know that there's people that are interested in it, which is great. But then you can also go into the listing appointment and say, hey, there's 14 people that requested more info on this, whether it's agents or buyers, doesn't really matter, right? You had people that showed interest, and you can go into that listing appointment with a little bit more oomph than the other agent.
Yeah, and the thing that we love about Chris, and this is just a good example of it, is that dog whistle of proof over promise, meaning that when this great whistle, Katie, he posts this, I am going to a listing appointment video, let me know if you're interested, right? And it's so simple, but what it does is it, one, says, hey, I actively sell houses and I'm in the middle of selling houses. I don't say I do it, I'm actually doing it. And then the other piece is that he's showing how he's actively finding buyers for those listings. And so if I'm a consumer with someone with a house to sell, I'm sitting here saying, man, this guy, Chris, like he's always looking for buyers for his listings. And so when I go to sell my house, I want somebody that does smart things like this Instagram story I'm watching. And so maybe he gets interest, and I know he does get people reacting and that are interested in buying, and he's generating leads from it. But I also love the long-term brand play for when somebody's ready to sell. They've watched all of the work that he puts in to selling his house, his listings, and they want to use them.
I really like that one. I like, you can even just do a yes or no.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, DM me and give me your info. Like, I like using polls for a lot of these different things, because then, if 15 people say yes, you can show that to the seller, one, but then you can create conversations from those yes or no's, right? If people are saying yes, then you can say, awesome, what's your email so I can send you over more info, or send you the Google, Drive folder once I get it. Or if they say no, like, then you can either mess with them back, or, well, what are you looking for? Why do you hate me? What's wrong with my, kind of thing. Anyways, I sorry, I was going down a different path. This isn't
No,
this isn't that call today. All right, so going on a listing appointment, green screen the map is number one for me. Number two is a similar one with the map content. Jason Cassidy does this a lot. I have a buyer and they're looking in this neighborhood, but we've seen everything online. Obviously, I think we don't even need to bring up if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose video that Jason Cassidy has done. I think everyone in the world, if you're alive, you've seen it.
What's
14
funny?
times.
Being here in New England, it's not true. Like, there's plenty of people that have not seen that video, and so since you brought it up, I think I should talk about it. So
sure.
Jason runs an ad where he starts the video saying, hey, if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose. And he then says, I have a buyer. They're looking for X, Y, and Z in this area. And he says, if you're seeing this video on purpose, one, it's a good hook, because you're like, oh, like, why? But he's running that ad over a geographic location where his buyer is looking. And so, hey, if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose is a great hook to the I have a buyer video that we're about to talk about. And what's fun is I don't know if he sponsored this as a reel, but I think there's a ton of value in sponsoring this as a story, because those sponsored stories, there's something about going through stories that is a little bit more intimate connection that you're getting with people, as opposed to scrolling through the feed. Like, you're just looking at people you follow, you're just looking at your friends. And then when an Instagram story ad comes up, it's either so disconnecting that it's really annoying, and you're like, God, I can't believe this perfume. I get a lot of perfume ads, maybe. Is average, you swipe it, but it's an opportunity to also have something like, if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose, to have like a really good hook, and that be super impactful.
Yeah. Well, and so he also does this video. Other people have done similar videos. Trey's done one and he used a different hook. It was good. I don't remember what it is. But he also does just a screenshot of a map in his story where he circles the map and says, hey, Tim's looking for a house between 1 and 1.5 million in this area with these schools, 2-story house, master down. If you have anything coming soon, let me know. And so this is, again, something that's good to show buyers that you're out there working for them, but then also it gives him potential to off-market listings or listings that are coming soon. It gives him conversations with agents. Like, it's something that's, again, just kind of a conversation starter that I really like.
And it's the dog whistle to the world. Look how much I'm doing for my buyers. Other people are watching, like, my agent didn't post all over the place trying to find a property for me, right? I just sent them what was on Zillow. And so it's just such a great way to, one, find more deals, but two, show the world how much more you do for your clients than the average agent.
I love it. All right. Anything else on the I have a buyer?
I'm still spieling, but I think that, again, I like Jason's hook of, if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose, followed by the map with the circle around it of that area that the person's in. So if I'm scrolling through my stories and some person pops up and says, hey, if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose, and then there's a map behind them with the area circled that I live in, I think I'm gonna hang around and see what they have to say. Well,
and this is like the future, the 21st century video and content of the I have a buyer letter, right? Like, everyone sent one of those or heard of it, right? Where you send a letter to a neighborhood that your buyer's looking and they can't find anything. They've seen everything online. That still works, by the way, right? But it's kind of like the modernized version of that. The thing with the video that I think a lot of people miss on is, like, you can't just do this in your farm of like, hey, I have a buyer that's looking. Like, you need to have a little bit or enough detail in it.
Oh,
and it needs to be real, right? Like, you need to actually have a client that's looking.
That's probably the most important piece, is to actually have a buyer when you do this video.
No, I've sent out these letters before and I've had people call me and like, I get these all the time. Clearly you don't have a buyer. I'm like, no, Mr. and Mrs. Smith are looking, whatever. They have 2 kids. They need to be in this school district. One's in elementary school, one's in middle. And they're like, oh shit. Okay. This is real. Right. And so with your client's permission, like what can you put in? Or, I mean, Jason said he's also used a different name. So say it was Michelle that was looking, he says Ashley in the video kind of thing. But enough detail to where people know that it's not bullshit.
Yeah, the money is in the details. And then, you do if you're seeing this video, it's on purpose. I'm working with a client instead of buyer. I think that's always a better way to go too, is I'm working with a client. And then after that, it's like, don't talk about yourself. Just go all in on the specifics of that buyer, because like Katie said, most people think you're full of crap. And the more you talk about, like, Sarah and Jeff really need to be in the school district. They need a 2-car garage. They need this. They've got 3 kids. And so they need a 4-bedroom because they really like, the more you go into those details, you're getting people more invested and then less likely to think you're full of crap. And don't be full of crap. Have an actual buyer.
Yeah.
If you don't have one, go find a buyer and then go make this video.
But the letters also work well too. I know a lot of people are crushing with letters right now because people have moved away from mail. So I think, obviously it's the video blueprint podcast, but I think that there's kind of levels to it. And I've done this with my agents where we send out the letter, right? And then we do the video and we run it as an ad. And then maybe we never got to this point because the buyer found a house. But then my next idea was like, we send out a letter with a drone shot of the community, or not a letter, a postcard with the drone shot of a community to like with a QR code to our video. Like I was like, there was levels to it.
Well,
but
and I think agents overthink this concept a lot too, where I was in our team meeting last week and I was like, all right, who has a buyer? Like 4 of my agents raised their hand. And I'm like, guys, we spent a crap ton of money on Zillow leads. Like you got 3 leads this week. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But like, I'm not really working with them. It doesn't matter if you're working with them. If I get a lead and they're like, yeah, we are moving from California and we want to bet, and you get all that information, like make the video immediately. Like make the video right after. Because what better follow-up do you have with that person than to say, hey, I actually just made a post and somebody hit me up about something. Like, 1, make the video as soon as you get the details. And then 2, don't worry about if you're like working with them or not. If it's a cold lead, warm lead, nobody cares. Do the work, get the results. And that's an amazing way to actually follow up with a cold lead. Like maybe you got somebody 6 months ago that didn't find anything that you forgot about. Like go make a video for them. And then what a great follow-up to call them and say, hey, I actually did some marketing out there looking for something for you. And somebody reached out to me with this. So just don't overthink the buyers that you're doing these for. Go do these for your cold, dead leads and see what you get.
Cold, dead leads. What a great concept.
Dead.
But yeah. I had another point, but then you're dead threw me off. The fact that you're bringing them off market opportunities too, right? Like if you're able to go back to a buyer that maybe you haven't talked to in a little bit, or that you've had difficulty finding stuff for them, bringing them off market stuff is a good move.
And not to keep ripping on this tangent, but we all have worked with these buyers that don't want to sign a buyer rep, and we want to talk our way into getting them to sign a buyer rep. We want to try to convince them. And it's like, okay, I get it. You don't want to sign a contract with me just to help you find houses. Totally cool. Well, the best way to get somebody to sign a buyer rep that doesn't want to sign one is for you to bring them off market deals. And say, hey, look, if you want me to keep bringing these off market deals, like I kind of need you to sign this agreement with me. And they're going to be way more likely to do that after you've proven the value instead of promising the value.
And just as a reminder, you should have a signed agreement before touring any properties. NAR. Thank you.
There's all sorts of state differences and whatever.
Well,
so
you need to have something signed.
We're not getting into that on the call.
I was just trying to do the quick little like legal disclaimer and then move on. And then now you've kind of dragged it out and now it's a thing. So we will move on. The other thing that I like for hand raisers is something that Brad Acree is doing in Cincinnati area. And so he every week, and I actually don't know what he's using for these. I think some of them are coming soon, but others are like off markets. Is he's like, here are my top blank properties, 1, 2, 3 that aren't on Zillow. Do you want these?
Wow.
Because like, where are most consumers looking?
Yeah.
Zillow, right?
Yep.
And so he's putting properties up that aren't yet on Zillow to say, hey, do you want these? And do you want them moving forward? Click here.
Yeah. And I think I know people sitting in their car listening to this are saying, yeah, but my coming soon rules or my marketing rules, anything else, like, Katie, you know way more about the rules than I do. If I don't have a listing agreement signed and I'm just telling you about a seller that may want to sell their house, like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like an issue to me.
We can go back to Jason Cassidy. I hate continuing to bring him up, but he recently did a video where he's standing in front of a house or in front of a building. I forget which, but he's like, "Hey, I love this Pacific Beach or what, whatever neighborhood in San Diego." And he's like, close of clear cooperation. And like, if I had a listing coming soon, I couldn't tell you about it, but I'm standing in front of a building right now, and it's between this block and this block on this street, 7 blocks from the beach. And he like goes into all of it, and it's a teaser listing video. And like, I don't know, I can look it up right now, but like, it had in the first week so many comments and shares. Obviously, some of that was agents sharing with other agents, but like, what a great ability to then go into that listing appointment or not go back to your seller and say, "Hey, I have this many people that are interested."
Yeah, and I think it just goes back to that thing of like, a seller wants a buyer, and a buyer wants a house. They don't want an agent. So the more you can be helping buyers find houses that aren't on Zillow, the better service you're doing for those buyers. The more you can work to find sellers, buyers, by not just necessarily sticking a sign in the yard and hoping people show up, like, the better you're doing for your client. And honestly, I think some of the rules are in place just make it harder for our jobs, make our jobs harder, just to make it easier on crappy agents. And so whatever ways you have to play by the rules, I get it, but also, like, don't let the rules stop you from helping your clients. Are we gonna get canceled after this show? Is this gonna happen?
We might. I don't know. It appears that Jason
Did he take it down?
I don't know that I see it. And then I went over to the Cassidy team page because I was like, oh, maybe it's on the Cassidy team.
No, it was on his personal.
His Cassidy team page.
I gotta text him.
Does he have 2 Cassidy teams? Because one of his Cassidy team pages only has three posts. This man.
Let's text him. That's funny. All right, what's our next topic?
I think you might have taken it down. What a little.
Well,
anyways,
maybe
the next topic.
We don't know the story. Maybe he got a legitimate complaint, and maybe it was an issue for him.
Litigious California people, quit being so litigious. Coming up next, I want to talk about Deal of the Week. So Sharon has been teaching the Deal of the Week for like over 10 years. Like, I think that he came out of the womb talking about Deal of the Week, right?
He was the Deal of the Week when he came out of the womb.
We crack ourselves up. I love this. This is such a different vibe. Just you and me.
I know. I listen. Let us know. Shoot us a DM if this is a good structure. I think some of our listeners want a guest. But if you like me and Katie just talking about stuff, let us know. And if we get 0 messages telling us they like this format, we'll make sure to never do it again.
Message us if you think that it's stupid. Message us if you think we're stupid.
Yeah, that too.
And message us if you think we're smart. Or if one of us is smart and one of us is stupid, you can choose who. Deal of the week. So Deal of the Week, Sharon's formula is sending it out, as an email, text-based, no images, no links, no nothing, right? To where people have to respond and say, "Hey, I'd like more information," and then you send them more info. But people are starting to do these in their Instagram stories. People are doing them like in a broadcast channel. I have one. Caleb Monroe has one for investments. But I think you would like to talk about Michael Perry's Deal of the Week.
Yeah. So Michael Perry's doing he's doing Reels. So he's doing a whole video on Deal of the Week. He starts out by sitting on his car and he talks into one of those little handheld microphones. It's engaging, right? So it's a good hook. Deal of the week. Why is he sitting on his car? He's talking into his little mic. And the thing that the video piece of Deal of the Week gives you the opportunity to do as an agent is it gives you the opportunity to talk about why it's the Deal of the Week and why it's a good deal. And people eat that up and they're interested in why you think it's a good deal. And you're also building rapport. And then at the end of it, they don't know what the address is. Maybe you talked about the price, but you usually do it in vague terms, like to find something like this in this area for less than 500, right? You're not like giving the price, but you're maybe talking about it. And so you've built rapport, you've built engagement, and then you just have this irresistible urge on the point of the consumer to message you and say, "Hey man, like, tell me more about that house."
Well, and I like what he's doing because he is basically highlighting someone else's listing. So oftentimes he's pulling up the Zillow profile of them or the pictures and scrolling through the pictures. And that's the background when he's talking, right? Like that's the B-roll over on the screen. And he's like, this is Tim Macy's listing. Like contact Tim if you want to go see it. But like oftentimes if people follow Michael, they're probably contacting Michael, right?
Of course.
And then he's also collabing with some of these agents. So he had one that he did where like he went out to the property and then the listing agent ended up coming out too. I don't know if it was a team listing or just another agent that he knows, but like that's something that then you're like getting some, goodwill in your local community because you're spending time and highlighting other people's listings. I also love it because he's showing his knowledge, like what he goes so in depth into like, hey, these are the prices. If you were to come in and put 20 grand in or 200 grand in or whatever, this is how much you could sell it for. These homes are selling for this and and like since he's in that space and he flips homes himself, like he's able to very intelligently talk about it. And I think that shows for a consumer.
Well, and again, it goes back so much to tone, so much to the nuance of how you're talking about something. Like he's not doing it in a salesy way. And, Michael's got this very steady kind of monotone way about him that's not salesy at all. And you have to understand that's what people enjoy listening to. It's why some of our introverts actually do really well on social because they speak in such like a low energy way that really connects with the consumer. And so if you get on there, it's got to be the way that you would talk to a buddy of yours about why this house is the deal of the week. It can't be the way that you, the real estate agent.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. It can't be the way that you, the real estate agent, would talk about deal of the week. Like, this is today's deal of the week. It's the bet. No. Like it's got to be you giving somebody that inside scoop in a really relatable way.
Yeah.
And keep your sales agent voice at home for those.
Yeah. I like it. All right. So deal of the week, many ways to do it. Again, you can do it stories, broadcast channels, emails, obviously still crush. But Michael Perry's weekly-ish deal of the week where he's doing some fun video stuff is cool. Go check him out.
He screenshotted and sent me the DMs that he gets. Like people are literally just messaging him saying, hey, that looks cool. I want to go see that.
Give me house.
It's working.
Yeah. All right. The other stuff I think is like story stuff. And so I know Bill Olson did this the other day where he was getting ready for a listing appointment. He was running CMAs and doing reports. So he took a picture of like the graphs on the screen and was like, hey, I'm working on an equity report for a client, or I'm going on a listing appointment and running numbers for a client. Like it doesn't really matter what you say on that front end. Would you like an equity report for your home? Yes or no? And I think he said yes, no, and then like, no, but I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have the no. I would be like, yeah, hell yeah, or like I want to buy a house or something, or like no because I don't have a house yet or something. Like
I like the way playing with the options, especially if you know your audience really well and you can have fun with them. But the thing I like about Bill's deal in particular with the CMAs is Bill's built this channel on a local news. So he's got a ton of local news stuff, and what we found is agents are doing great with that local news stuff, but sometimes you can become the local news person and not the real estate person. And so he's built this audience and he's looking for ways to convert it. And in the stories talking about equity updates is just an amazing way for him to start converting this big audience that he's built that wouldn't just pick up the phone and call him. He's converting them through the stories.
Well, and that's where like I love that for Bill and like Sarah Maslowski and people that are doing the local stuff on their real estate channel because they're adding people into something that's already there. I, on the other hand, created this additional channel. And while I'm seeing some people follow both Move Me to Texas and my Houston channel, I can't just come out and be like, do you want to buy a house on the Houston channel? So I'm going to have to start layering and what's that?
You can't do it in the feed, but you can do it in stories.
But like, I'm also not getting that many story views because I only have 4,000 followers, whatever. But those are the things where I'm like, okay, I've got to layer in the real estate into the news page. But for an agent that has a page where they're adding in local news to deepen their local stuff, it's a perfect opportunity because they can just continue to do what they're doing as they add on more followers.
Katie, I'd like to mildly disagree with you.
All right.
I think you should just how many stories are you posting on your local Houston channel?
At least one every day.
Okay. And what are the stories that you're posting?
What do you think?
What are they? I don't know.
They're reposts of our posts.
Oh, so you're not actually posting stories. You're just reposting. Okay. So you're not posting any stories.
Okay. So tell me and our listeners out there, what are some things that I should be posting on that page for stories?
I would
what's engaging?
I think we probably shouldn't start with a share, which I've broken the rules before, but ultimately when we're posting stories, we try not to start with a share because they tend not to get as good of engagement. But you could go back. This is the fun part too. This is a different audience than your personal page. You could go back to some story that you posted on your personal page of the coffee shop and just post it, right? And then you're just going to post all the local stuff that you post already on your personal page. Post that on the local Houston page, and then you can start posting the same exact thing that Bill's posting. I think you can also reshare other local stuff. So like local restaurants that are doing cool stuff that people like, you can reshare that stuff and start getting that story engagement going on your page. Because here's the deal, like when somebody follows your local page, I'm not talking too much smack, but like the worst thing you can do is kind of have a throwaway strategy on your stories, which just reposting the stories is kind of a throwaway strategy, right? You're just like checking the box to do something. Where you just got somebody to follow you on your local page, like post some engaging crap on there to get that story engagement going, and then that's where the conversion is going to happen.
All right, so I'm committed to, before this podcast airs, which will be next week.
Yes,
I'm committed to going into my Moving to Texas archive and downloading a bunch of shit and then drafting it all in the Houston page so that I can repost old stories of like local coffee shops and stuff with them tagged, so they'll repost it. So yeah, no, I got you, fam. You're right.
Love it.
You're right. All right. So the other person who I think is doing a very good job with stories and gets a lot of business from Instagram is Shannon Mangan. And so she'll do, I'm going out with a buyer today. Here are the 4 homes we're going to look at. Which one do you like best, right? And have polls. What's your favorite feature of this house or favorite feature of this room? Which backyard do you like the best? Which pool do you like the best? Like very engaging, poll-driven stories for people to vote on, which then she has 10, 20, 30, 100 people to DM. Why did you choose that? Why do you like that? Is this your, whatever.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think we forget engagement. Like we forget how engaging our day-to-day activities are. If you go show 5 houses, there are engaging stories in that mix. I mean, look, people DM me because I time-lapse myself shoveling the driveway. People live pretty boring lives, and we forget that being a real estate agent and actually going to look at houses is exciting to people. And so the more of those things that you can post, if you're going to see 5 houses, take a picture of the 2 of the kitchens and say, which one do you like better? And then here's the deal, Katie, you touched on it. We will do a post that gets engagement and we will do no follow-up. Right? Yeah. Like we will put out the poll and people like the white cabinets better than the brown ones. And then we leave it. Like we don't have any follow-up, where if you just had some article about cabinet colors that are in this year and you just sent it to everybody, like I don't know, I'm just making stuff up on the spot, but you know what I mean? Like if somebody engages with your story, that is an opportunity for you to engage back with them and have a conversation, because all conversion happens in
conversation, right? Everyone at once. Conversation.
We are striving for conversations, and we're leaving opportunities for conversation on the table all the time when we don't follow up with the engagement that we get.
All right. So I kind of want to switch gears a little bit. All of what we were talking about was like being on social and keeping people on social and creating conversations on social. But we know that platforms are rented ground, right? Like at some point, if they, went away tomorrow, would you have that reach? And I think, we talked to Matt and Roland about this on a couple masterminds of like with TikTok, right? Like were they flipping out? And like for a minute they were, right? They were like, how quickly can we get people on Instagram? How can we get them on other platforms? Can we get their emails? What can we do? So I think that like it's been a wake up call for everyone when we've had Meta going down, when we've had TikTok disappearing for a couple of days. Like get emails, right? So I want to talk a little bit about like creating an email list. What does that look like?
Real quick, I don't want to breeze over this. I mean, TikTok shuts down. That is a large percentage of their business that is disappearing, right? Disappearing because it's all on that platform. And you think about Zuckerberg going to the presidential inauguration, and like, what if he didn't? Right? He decided politically he was going to like go, I don't know, go against the current administration. And then we're wondering if Facebook's going to be around and how much of our business is on this stuff. And, before we dive into email, I think there's a difference between having a following and having a community.
Oh, and a lot you've always been big on the building a community. So I like that. That was good. That was good.
Yeah. A lot of us have built big followings, but we haven't built enough community within that following, because community will follow me wherever I go, right? If Facebook gets shut down tomorrow, whatever, like that community, we will find each other in other places. Whereas a following and people are just following you, they may fall off. And so a lot of this engagement stuff we're talking about is how do we go from having a big following to having a community? And so engagement is there. And then like we're going to touch on, at the end of the day, you don't own these subscriber counts, follower counts, or anything else. The only thing you really own is your database, and making sure that you're getting people into that is really important.
So you know how you've always been big on building community?
Yes.
That's always been kind of your thing. Like I think we should have a podcast on that like back in 2020, right?
Yeah.
That's always been kind of what you're known for. Is that why you don't have a following and why you don't make content? Sorry, that was too easy. We've been too nice to each other for 31 minutes.
Yeah.
And so sorry, I had to throw one
Good on us,
little
though.
jab, a little jab.
Yeah, I don't think we've jabbed each other much in the last 30
No, I know
minutes.
it's been too kind. So I
Yeah,
wanted
right.
to make sure that people knew that we still had some disdain for each other before
That's
moving
good.
on to
I'm
emails.
glad.
So I think one of the easiest ways to get emails is just to ask. And this isn't like the first time you do it. This is how you should do it. You should have some sort of following or community, right? But like, hey, do you want to sign up for my newsletter and use ManyChat? Or do you want to sign up for a newsletter? Comment below. Give me your email with a sticker. DM me your email. Like, it is that simple sometimes, right? Like, do you want updates and do you want my newsletter? Sign up.
You know, and I think what we email people is really the difference in whether or not this works. And so, one, do we have to give people's email addresses? Of course. But then it's like, don't send out crappy emails. like we're lucky on the real side that Sharon's done a bunch of amazing training on different email strategies and whatnot. But again, like your database is one of the most important things you have. And so many of us load it into a CRM and just set them on a drip campaign, you know? And like, what are we doing? You know, it's funny. I was talking to an agent yesterday, Evan Whaley in Greenville, South Carolina, is doing pretty well on YouTube. And he's like, I did 5 million in volume from YouTube in his second year of doing it, which is great. And he's like, so I've got a VA that's doing the thumbnails and the titles. And I'm like, dude, you made this thing that generated 6 figures in income, and you're handing off the most important piece of it to a VA. And it's like your database is one of the most important things we have in our business, and we hand it off to a CRM to follow up with. You know?
And I think like just for I think Ken Pozek, how many years in to YouTube is he at this point? I'm pretty sure he still posts and does his thumbnails.
I mean, look, Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the world.
Yeah.
And the thing he obsesses over the most are thumbnails and titles.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, you can't, you have to figure out what you can, offload
automate
and outsource
or off. Yeah.
automate. But so many times we're automating some of the most important parts of our business where it needs our touch and needs us to be in there. And so the same thing with a database. One, grow the database, get as many of these followers, subscribers, and everything else into your database, and then actually have a strategy for how you're gonna do this. You can have somebody execute the strategy, but you can't have somebody else driving strategy.
Well, and I think that, you mentioned Sharon in emails. His big thing is text-based emails, not the pretty newsletters. There's other people out there that are like, send out your videos and embed your social posts and whatever. And like, there's pros and cons to everything. I don't want to get into the semantics of that, but I would say whatever you're going to send out, it needs to be high quality information. So whether there's photos, no photos, videos, no videos, text, well, it should have text. It shouldn't just be a freaking picture book. But, whatever it is, it just needs to be information that's important to the people that are subscribing and like high quality. So can we agree? Can we agree on that?
Yes. And the other piece I would say is this, Sharon does have a great way, to get into the weeds on this a little bit. If you want to send somebody your video, one, go through your stuff for the last month and find your best video. Find the video that did the best and then email it out and say, hey, this video I posted actually went semi-viral. What do you think? And then drop the link to the video. And so when you send that email, you're one, sending them a video that they're probably going to like because more people liked it. And two, you kind of have like a reason to send it instead of saying, check out my latest market update. So don't send boring videos out in your emails because they don't do well for your email and they don't do well for your video.
All right. So other ways in which you can build your email list other than just saying, hey, sign up for my newsletter, I think are like lists or where they're opting in for something. So like when I think of Alyssa Kerna out in Spokane did like Christmas lights at the holidays. And it was like comment lights or comment Christmas or comment, something like that for my list of, the top places to drive through to see lights with the family.
Yeah.
And it's probably a little far back on her feed, but I'm scrolling right now.
I would
she
also
355 comments on this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like you can't put things in that people can just Google. Like you gotta give somebody something that they don't want to go through the process of doing on their own. And so, like here's my Christmas light map for Spokane. Like that's good. If you're like, I don't know, like I feel like people kind of mail this in. Like figure out something that your data, like your viewers and followers are really going to want.
A few other examples would be like Paul Wolfert did foreclosures, like the most recent list of foreclosures.
Yep.
And he said he had thousands of people that responded. And so I think you also have to think about like, does this align with your client avatar? Right. Because like when I think about that, I'm like, I don't want thousands of potential wannabe investors DMing me for me to find the 4 actual investors in the list.
You should change your thinking around that, but that's
no,
okay.
I'm just saying I personally don't want that.
Well,
you may.
Yeah, I would just say you should always take 1,000 possible leads, and it sounds like maybe the system around filtering through those is where the pain point is.
I'm saying Katie Day does not want those leads. Katie Day would love those leads for my team.
Yes,
but like I'm not going to call through 1,000
of
leads.
course not. Yeah,
but divide those between my 10 team members, maybe we will. So he did that. I know like obviously new construction's big in a lot of different areas. So like what are the top 5 deals of the week, or interest rates of the week, or all of the ones under X% in this neighborhood kind of thing.
And the other piece is a lot of those builders aren't listing every single inventory home they have. And so off market new construction is a great lead magnet to put out there to get people to give you their information. I love foreclosures. I love the off-market new construction. I think those are easy and they get a good amount of responses. And then do you have any other ones?
No, I mean, those were just the ones kind of like off the top of my head, right?
Yeah. The other piece that I feel like whenever I look at our people's stuff that are doing well that they're missing is just having a simple squeeze page lead form on their squeeze. I don't know. There's something about getting like, I don't want to squeeze anybody, but it's, just lead form. We call lead form.
Funnel. Just
like a super simple, let's connect and then have people give you their information. Like some people just want to give you their information and we don't make it easy enough. And so I think everybody should have, we put link trees up with 8 different things on there. Like we overcomplicate it all the time. Just a link with let's connect, name, email, phone, done.
So it's interesting you say that because this would have been in 2022, I guess, when we did that video mastermind.
Yes.
And we linked up with like Scott, the mortgage guy, and like a couple other people.
TikTok.
And Scott, that mortgage guy. Yeah, sorry. And his problem was that he was getting so much inbound inquiry. He had to change all of his LinkedIn bios to basically just be like, fill out this freaking form. And all it was like a client form. And it was like, name, contact info, and state kind of thing, because he was getting so many inquiries.
Yeah, but that's what was funny was he told us how many leads he had generated, because we're all like, yeah, no, like we're doing this, we're doing that. And he's like, yeah, I generated 40,000 leads in the last couple months. We're like, what?
We're like, no, 4,000, right?
No. And so he's generating, and then we're like, oh, cool. So like, how do you set that up? Like, what's your super cool click funnel thing? And we go to his TikTok page and he just has the most absolute basic give me your info form. Like there's no button, there's no nothing. It's just like, fill this out. And it was so simple, but he just had a bunch of people that wanted to, to inquire.
Well, and so I changed like my link in bio to that to where it's just like moving to Texas /new client. It's changed since then, but like, and all it is a form to fill out with like your name, your contact info, and like a little message button, right? Like what are you looking to do, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think that there is definitely a lot of overcomplication of things. So having a simple squeeze page, as Timmy calls it, could be a good move. I think so. You have the lists and you have the like comment for this. I don't think these get as many downloads, but like I am a fan of having the guides, right? The home buying guide, the home selling guide, how to buy and sell at the same time, how to buy new construction. You know, you don't want to call it that. It should be like the top 10 mistakes people make when buying a new home kind of thing. But having some of those.
I love those, but I don't know. I'm thinking there is a value to not having them on your profile and having them be something that you talk about in your stories. Where it's like,
no,
hey,
that's fine.
I allow it and make people DM you for it, and just post, hey, just sent out our home buyer resource guide to a new client. Like, let me know if you want one, and get that DM, get that interaction, so it's a little less passive than always sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like a time and a place for both, right? But like having some guides, I think, could be beneficial.
All of guides,
you know, to get some email addresses.
They're so much easier to make with AI. You can make a guide in 15 minutes where
it's basically like your bot is talking to AI, which created this thing, which, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna have a ton of fun with Jason Pantana at REVB this year with all the AI. And don't get me wrong, we're gonna take all of the ridiculous things that you can do with AI and try to boil them down to the most efficient, actionable ones you should actually do, not like making theme songs for your real estate company, but actually trying to generate business. Are
you just looking at like what you've been doing on AI?
Yes, I was actually just making a song the other day. I made a podcast about our vacation. Anyway.
Oh yeah, no, we talked about that. Yeah. So the other ways in which you can get emails, I think, are like for people that like want more information. So I recently did a reel about how HEB, our grocery store here, is giving away a year's worth of groceries every single day for the next like 90 days or something. So I was like, hey, if you want free groceries, this is wild. HEB's giving away, you know, blah, 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 free groceries, bullshit, whatever. Then I was like, comment HEB if you want me to send you the link to like HEB's website to where like you can see all the rules and get yourself registered to win some freaking groceries. And I've had like 10 people comment or DM me the keyword. And like, then I'm, you know, hey, I'll email it over to you. What's your email, kind of thing. So again, nothing too sexy or exciting, but something that, you know.
All right, I'm in. Let's get some emails.
So yeah, I think those are good ways. And then the final one I was thinking of is like referrals or connections to like partners or vendors, depending on like time of year. So like a CPA or like tax protest vendor or like, you know, different stuff. And like getting emails that way. So
like it.
Emails, ask for them, create lists, create guides, links, referrals, things like that. If you've got a great way that you're collecting emails for your email newsletter, let us know.
Yeah, shoot us a DM. Tell us your secrets so we can tell everybody else.
Top secrets of real estate, which aren't actually secrets. Tim, I enjoyed doing this, man.
I wish I could say the same. REVB, April 24th and 25th. We really
in Antonio, Texas.
We want to see you. Like, if you're not going, DM me and tell me so I can try to make you feel bad about it. I'm just kidding. We all got life stuff, we get it, but we do. It's like one of our favorite times of the year, and we love seeing everybody. We love to see you there.
If you DM me on Instagram the word alpaca, I will give you a ticket to Real Estate Video Blueprint for you or a friend.
A freebie?
One free ticket to the first person that DMs me the word alpaca.
I don't know if we can afford to give away a free ticket.
Take it out of your paycheck.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought you were going to give like a 10% discount, a free ticket for the first person that DMs Katie the word alpaca.
All right.
We will
see you guys in April at REVB.
We'll see you then.
Antonio.